Goodwin, you good? Okay. The time is 7:01, and I call this regularly scheduled meeting of the Red Oak City Council to order. Thanks the Lord that we have all councilmen present in the room. Councilman Brawley, Councilman Drake, Councilman Franklin, Councilman Goodwin, Councilman Wilson, and notice has been duly posted in accordance to the Texas Government Code Section 551, and we are here to execute the business of the city, and we're just excited. We have a packed house. We've got a lot of neat things that are kind of going to be talked about here in a little bit, but before we get started, Councilman Brawley, if you would please lead us in the invocation and the pledges.
Dear Heavenly Father, as we come together tonight, we ask that you bless each of those in this room. We ask that you watch over and protect our city workers, our city staff, and our police and fire as they perform the duties of our community. Father, we are thankful for the many blessings that you sent down to us individuals in this community. We are also thankful that we live in a country where individuals can share differing opinions but treat each other with respect and dignity. Father, we would ask that as we sit down tonight to conduct business in the city, please lend us counsel your wisdom so that we may make decisions that are pleasing in your eyes. While we have ideas about how things should be, only you can see the perfect. All of these things we pray in your name. Amen. Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Councilman Franklin, if you would go ahead and do your recognition. I think that was the exciting thing. We got orders for the people attended for that recognition.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Councilman Willie Franklin. One of my initiatives when I ran for City Council is to ensure that I am pouring into the next generation of future leaders, hoping that one day when they continue to lead through high school, through college, military, workforce, wherever they choose to do, hopefully they eventually come back and serve their city. And hopefully when they do so, they'll remember me. But in doing so, I've been to observe our local Red Oak High School Student Council, and they do so much in the community, in their school, and their walk-through leadership. So whether it's a blood drive, whether it's food drives, whether it's helping, whether it's just being a student leader, they do such an amazing job. We met, we had an impromptu pizza party, and we talked. They have so many great ideas, and I'm honored to be able to say Red Oak has one of the best student councils in the country. So recently they participated in the Texas Association of Student Councils, where the election wasn't in their favor. However, that was just a test run. That one doesn't matter, because you will win the next one. So what we would like to do on behalf of the mayor, my fellow council members, city staff, we want to recognize your excellence as future leaders and current leaders in your prospective area. So this certificate reads, a certificate of recognition presented by the city of Red Oak to Red Oak High School Student Council, and it reads, in recognition of your participation in the Texas Association of Student Councils, Driven to Lead State Conference on April 10th through 12th, 2022, and for your position of leadership, excellence, and dedicated service to your school and community. And it is signed for May 9th, 2022, again by our mayor and our city manager. So we just want to recognize you and give you this certificate on behalf of the city. I don't know how you're going to do this photo, but I'm sure you're going to be able to do it.
Yeah, we can do it. If you guys just want to go ahead and come up.
And I invite mayor and councilman to come on up and join this photo, please. And I'm sorry, I didn't acknowledge Ms. Thomas. She's one of the advisors. She do an excellent job with keeping everything intact, her and her team, so I definitely want to acknowledge you and thank you for your service. Oh, just punch it in. Just punch it in. We want to hold it here. Oh, right there in the middle.
So, and we really enjoyed the numbers that came. We didn't know what to expect, so we will get individual copies for one of them. That's an outstanding job with future leaders of America for what you do for our city. And as Councilman Franklin said, we're just so proud of you.
Thank you. Oh, 1, 2, 3, lovely. 1, 2, 3, 4. You all good behind me? No.
Thank you all for your service.
I did. I got both of them.
Before y'all slip out, we want you to kind of stay for these other proclamations and stuff, but I do want to share with the council, especially since you are leaders of the of our high school and also at state level, whatever you do. We actually are having a councilman step down after decades of service to the city. Councilman Wilson, this is actually his last council meeting, and talking about a servant's heart, he just would go above and beyond, and so since we have a bigger crowd now, I just wanted to recognize you and again say thank you for your service to the city. Thank you. Sweet talking. They'll probably give you a piece of cake on the way out or whatever. So we pass that on. And go ahead and make this. We had an election this past weekend. We will be losing our other council, Raleigh. We poured his heart into the city. Thankful for his service over the years. We're not losing him though, because he's saying that he's going to kind of come back and get on some other things. So he's going to continue to work hard in the city. We're excited, and we will say welcome to Councilman Jeff Smith. So thank you very much. You're here. So that won't become official until we certify our election results. Oh, and Councilman Lightfoot, I apologize. So he's taking over for Councilman Wilson. So he's back there. So So he had been on council before, again, a servant leader heart, and so we're excited about what our future holds, and we're excited about their future, also. So, now, Chief Wolf, if you'll come join me, please. So we understand if you got tested or something like that, you need to slip out, but I'd like for you to say, this is a proclamation for National Peace Officers Memorial Day, and Police Congress and the President of the United States has designated May 15th as National Peace Officer Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls as Peace Week. Members of the law enforcement agency of Red Oak play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Red Oak. It's important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence or disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. The Police Department of Red Oak has grown to be a modern and scientific law enforcement agency which unceasingly provides a vital public service. Therefore, I, as mayor, and the rest of the city council call upon all citizens of the city of Red Oak and upon all patriotic, civil, and educational organizations to observe the week of May 11th through May 17th as National Police Week, with appropriate ceremonies in which all of our people may join in commemorating police officers, past and present, with faithfully and loyally and loyal devotion to their responsibility, have rendered a dedicated service to their community, and in doing so have established for themselves an inevitable, enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I call on all citizens of Red Oak to observe Sunday, May 15th, as National Peace Officer Memorial Day, and honor those police officers. Thank you very much. Please say something. I'm all choked up.
So every year since its inception, we participate in Police Week as an organization. It's an opportunity for the command staff and the police department to give something back to the officers that are out there every day on the streets doing the job that you as the citizens expect. And really what it unfortunately showcases are the amount of line of duty deaths and fatalities that have happened for 2021. I would just like to highlight a few of those numbers. There were 62 firearms-related deaths in 2021. There were 58 related to traffic accidents. 37 fall under the category of other, which could be officers who drowned or were killed by other means that weren't firearm-related, which could be a stabbing or an assault. And then, uniquely to 2021, there were 301 officers that lost their lives to COVID-19. So there were a total of 458 fatalities in law enforcement across the United States in 2021, which is a significant spike from previous years, and it goes on record as one of the deadliest years in law enforcement in the last 10 years. So every morning when these officers get up, or every afternoon when they get up, depending on what shift they work, and they put their uniform on, as they walk out the door, they become a target. for those citizens that don't, necessarily respect or support law enforcement. And one of the things that we're very fortunate of here in Red Oak is that we do have a very strong support base in our community. And the officers recognize that and they see that, and it means a lot to have the support of our community behind us, in everything that we do. And we try to do the absolute best job that we can for you every time they leave the station and they go out on patrol. So I always tell my guys, my job's really easy. And you guys make me look really, really good. My job and the city staff's job and council's job is to support those officers in their efforts. And we are very fortunate that we have a council that supports our police department as strongly as they do, well, all public safety for that matter, even the firefighters. It's a little bit of a stretch at times, but they still act like they like us. But we all know they like us the best. So thank you again, Mayor, for recognizing Police Week for us. And next week, the police department, starting on Sunday and all the way through next Friday, will be celebrating internally within our department Police Week. All the command staff, we're going to feed every shift and take care of the officers and make them feel as important as they should.
Pass that on to everybody else.
I absolutely will. Thank you so much.
Ms. Williams, will you come join me? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so, this proclamation is the 62nd annual National Public Works. Public work professionals focus on the infrastructure, the facilities, emergency management services that are vital to our city. If it wasn't for these workers, it really wasn't for our workers, the whole city would kind of fall apart. We take for granted that water comes, you turn on the spigot, you flush the toilet, and stuff moves. They're out there, they're nice ones, they're out there, making public roads safe, fixing those potholes when they let us know that there is one. It's never ending, it's 24 hours that they're out there working on it. And in the public interest of the citizens and civic leaders, the children of the city of Red Oak, you need to know what these people do behind the scenes to make your life a lot better. It's the 62nd year of National Public Works Week, and I hereby designate May 15th through the 21st as National Public Works Week, and I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the association, government agencies, and activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, managers, supervisors, and employees, recognize the substantial contributions they make to our city. Thank you very much for watching. Say anything?
I won't be as long-winded as Steve. But most of what Public Works does is behind the scenes. We do keep the infrastructure running, and we appreciate all that our City Council in Red Oak does to support our initiatives and projects. And we're making great strides towards tremendous improvement yet to come. So we appreciate the recognition, and have a good evening. Thank you.
All right. Clary, will you come join me? Father Clary. Father Clary. Throughout the city, we always hear, how come we don't have this restaurant? How come we don't have this? How come we don't have that? And a lot of them may not know that we actually have someone that works 48 hours a day going to each business for different companies, trying to get them to come to the road. This man, if you've ever seen him around the city, he usually has a phone up to his ear. He's working. He's going to each one of them. He works harder than a lot of people. Amen. Just trying to get businesses and developments and stuff like that. And the reason why we are giving this proclamation is it's Economic Development May 9th, May through the 13th. And the International Economic Development Council provides leadership and excellence in economic development for communities, members, and partners throughout the conference. Training classes, advisory, research, in-depth publications, and policy advocacy. Economic developers promote economic well-being and quality of life for their communities by creating, retaining, expanding jobs that facilitate growth, enhance wealth, and provide a stable tax base. The developers stimulate and incubate entrepreneurialism in order to help establish the next generation of businesses, which is the hallmark of our economy. Like I said, this guy works tirelessly for our city to get those businesses and developers to come to Red Oak. And therefore, the City Council and myself as mayor recognize May 9th to the 13th as Economic Development in the City of Red Oak to remind individuals of the importance of this community celebration, which supports expanding career opportunities and improving quality. So, we don't thank people who work behind the scenes well enough. We were able to do that in public service. You may not ever see him around, but my gosh, he is working for this. Thank you very much.
Airbrush.
Of course.
So now really tell us what you do.
Where's my wife? Nothing. Mr. Mayor and City Council, thank you for your support. And without your support, Todd and Jonathan, the leadership, and city directors, oh my gosh. Young people, you probably know this, we have 2 local aerospace companies here, Bombard, Getty, Carter. They go anywhere they want to. They don't have to stay here. They're being recruited by other cities all the time. We have 2 globally competitive data centers at $multi-billion. They're here and they're staying here. My point being is, talking to all of them, they're here because the leadership and the directors here, they can't say enough about the city. And they say this to me all the time, and I don't share it with you enough, I'm sorry, but I mean, it is incredible. Every week they're making a comment about how easy the city is to do business with, and they're staying here and they're happy here. And thank all of you, all that you. Thank you.
I'm going to kind of tag on that just a little bit. Hang on, Council, just a second. So, we wouldn't have this wonderful restaurant across this pond if it wasn't for just a little seed plant, somebody driving around and feeling the Lord to say, you need to go to Red Oak, and then reaching out to Lee, our economic development, and just working that through, and now we have a really nice restaurant. We're trying to get more of those. So, those are, things that he does, and again, thank you for the tireless, effort put into our city. And one last one, in case someone slipped in or did not slip in. This is actually hard to see, in the sense that, May is Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month. So those of you who ride those, little scooter bikes and stuff, we just ask that those who are driving those four-wheeled and higher numbered, wheeled vehicles, keep an eye out for our motorcycles. They have the right of way to the road also, and we just need to make sure that we keep them safe, best that we can. So, and that can be motorcycles and bicycles. So, that's also the proclamation for me. I think that's it. Okay. Now we can actually
Mr. President, I mean, that restaurant where he brought it in here, and that's just, look at me, if you don't know, like, that's a good example of what he does. Just wanted to reemphasize that.
Now, y'all are welcome to stay for this meeting, but we understand if you want to slip out, we're going to do citizens comments. If you care to speak, you just have to stand up and give us your information, and you can sure speak. But don't worry, I'll limit it, or if you want to slip out, we'll take just a few minutes and let you slip out. Good, thank y'all. I know.
We can't do that.
Thank you.
So, we are at a time in the meeting where we'll do citizens' comments. Was there anybody who came in that wanted to speak, at citizens' comments? I did receive one, but my understanding is you want to speak at item 13.
Mayor, if possible, there's Mr. Magistrate, and some insight that I don't have, if they can speak.
Okay. Yeah.
I know it's not a public hearing, but.
Okay. So do we need to have them speak now then, since it's not a public hearing, or they can still speak?
No, they can speak, with the chair's permission, they can speak at the time the item is taken up.
Are they in here?
I see Mr. Stonebait and I don't know if Mr. Gary's here. No.
Okay. Yeah, so, if you want to speak at that time, then we'll let you speak at 13. Okay. Nobody else, nobody's online either to speak? Mr. Bedford? Anybody online to speak?
Nobody's unmuted themselves, I don't see anybody with a hand raised or anything.
Okay.
No emails.
Okay, excellent. So we'll move on. So we're in the time of what we call consent agendas. Consent agenda are items that are considered routine in nature, can be acted upon in one motion. Any of these items may be withdrawn by myself, any council member, city manager, and acted upon separately. Consent agenda items are items that we might have been versed on before, that we've talked about in various other situations, or they might be like approval of minutes. That's the type of items that there are. So, that's gonna be items 1 through 4, and I'll entertain a motion to, well, I'll ask the council, does anybody have anything that they want to withdraw? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Councilman Wilson.
Second.
Councilman, Brawley. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Just aye.
Great guy.
Raleigh, aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. All right, regular business. Item 5 is consider adoption of resolution 22-032R, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, approving the annual comprehensive financial report audit by Patilio, Brown, and Hill LLP, which is attached here to and incorporated herein as Exhibit A, providing for a filing in the office of the City Secretary, providing an effective date. And,
you don't mind, you allow the fire department to run in and pop that balloon real quick.
Sure.
And then go get it running.
I thought that was for Ron.
Sorry, John.
Don't worry,
Yeah.
Watch the glitter.
Right.
It's gonna be a lot better in the morning.
Right.
Hey, Ron.
Be
careful. I guess I will.
Thank you.
Good job.
Hey, did they come with the lights flashing?
I could have done it.
Okay,
Mayor and
yes,
Council.
you bet, thank you.
Great. Thank y'all for letting me be here today. I believe y'all have a copy of the annual comprehensive financial report in front of you. I'm just gonna hit some of the highlights and kind of go over just things that we talked about today, with the meeting with management. It's still in draft form, but the numbers are where we think they should be, and we're comfortable with those. We're just trying to wrap up a few things with, GFOET awards and, essentially dotting i's and crossing t's at this point. We're wanting to come forward and go ahead and talk over the numbers with you guys. I think there's probably some misconceptions about what an audit is. I know people hear about audits with IRS and those type of things, and there are all different forms of audits, but ours is to come in and express an opinion on the financial statements that are given to us by the city. So throughout the year, you're booking transactions, you're booking water revenue, you're booking property taxes. And what we do is we come in and make sure that those things are reported in the proper place, in the proper amount, and make sure that the proper period is presented. And that's what we're doing here on pages 1 and 2. We're offering an opinion letter that says the numbers behind this report accurately state the financial position of the City of Red Oak as of September 30th, 2021. This is what we call an unmodified opinion, which we can give 4 types of opinions as outside auditors, but the unmodified opinion is the highest level of assurance that we can offer, meaning we did not have to modify the report for errors or glowing things that the city is leaving out or that they can't determine if they're correct or not. So although it's only 2 pages, I know that y'all periodically issue debt. You also get grants, and a lot of those people look to this to make sure that they feel comfortable with the money that they're giving the city, that it's being spent, under the right compliance procedures, and that there are controls to make sure that those numbers get reported properly. So, a lot of times I do a lot of school districts, and they say, well, what's a grade? And I mean, an unqualified opinion or an unmodified opinion is what we call an A. So that's not just management, the city manager, and the assistant city manager. This is a department, a whole city effort to get that, because if you don't have people in water billing taking the water and following controls, those numbers get out of control. So it's a citywide report, and we're glad to be able to report that to you guys. If you'll look at page 14 and 15, this is a balance sheet for your governmental funds, which is predominantly your general fund, EDC, which we talked about earlier, IDC, your debt service fund, and all of these look extremely good. They show strong financial position. The city ended up with about almost $5.5 million of fund balance at the end of the year in the general fund. That's up about $500,000 over last year. So there's nothing on the balance sheet or income statement that we feel is trending in a bad direction. Property taxes continue to increase with homestead values going up. Sales taxes are going up. So everything is pointing to very good economic growth, very good financial stability for the city. And we're also, the thing that we're extremely concerned with is, does the city have the infrastructure from an internal control standpoint to continue with this growth? And we feel that they do. So again, looking at pages 14 and 15, a very healthy balance sheet, very straightforward. We talk about audit risk, and here, just with the type of assets and liabilities you have, there's not a lot of what we call audit risk or inherent risk, where things like Enron, where they're opining on things that are extremely complex. The bulk of your balance sheet is made up of things like cash, accounts payable, things that are fairly straightforward and very easy to audit. Some of the things that we do are for your bank accounts and your investments. We confirm those outside with third parties. We don't just take the city saying, these are our amounts, and just say, yeah, that's great. We actually go out and get third-party confirmation for a lot of this, including your liabilities as well. So all in all, we also offer an opinion or a report on government auditing standards. And what that says is we did not have any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses to report to the city as of September 30th, 2021. We did have one significant deficiency from last year, some issues with procurement, and those we worked through with the city. They went out, took the proper procedures to get that alleviated. That does show up here as a finding from last year, but the current year's response is that we feel it's been corrected. So we really appreciate the city taking that information to heart and doing something about it. I have entities that, when we have findings, they fall upon deaf ears and no one acts, and they just continue to pile up and don't ever get corrected. So we appreciate the city doing that. Also, really have to point out, we got a lot of help from a lot of departments throughout the city. Predominantly, we work with Ms. Platt in the finance department, and they gave us a lot of information, and they're doing their regular jobs while we're saying, hey, get us this, what happened here, can you email us this? And they really try and get us those things timely. And we appreciate all the effort from everybody that we dealt with in the city manager's office, everybody. So just kind of a quick overview. I know y'all's meetings are long, but again, nothing to point out as a finding, and things are looking good at Red Oak.
So, Mr. Hager, so what was your recommendation on this?
The recommendation is to go ahead and approve, resolution 22032R, and I made the adjustment in the resolution to reflect the auditor's, commitment to come back and make, changes to the narrative, to make sure that information was correct, and there would be no change in the actual, numerical value for the report back.
Council, do you have any questions? You understand? No question. No question. All right, I'll entertain the motion to adopt resolution 22-032R.
So moved.
Councilman Wilson, second by Councilman Goodwin. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Raleigh, aye.
Wilson, aye.
That passes 5-0. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, item 6, consider adoption of resolution number 22-033R, approving a resolution of the City of Red Oak Industrial Development Corporation authorizing issuance, sale of sales tax revenue refunding and improvement bonds, taxable series 20 2022 by the corporation, approving a sales tax remit agreement and enacting other provisions relating to such. What?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is the same IDC bonds that we brought before you in March on the 14th, where you authorized us to move forward with the plan of finance that was put together by Hilltop Securities. Earlier tonight, at a special IDC board meeting, they did approve the resolution to go forward with the bonds. Jorge is here from Hilltop to give you an updated, the numbers from today's pricing and go over this with you from that presentation, after which we will ask you to approve the sale of these bonds.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor, Council, good afternoon. You may not have a copy yet, and I will pass it around so you have what we call it a transaction summary. Thank you. Mayor, Council, you may recall, well, first of all, let me introduce myself. Jorge Delgado with Hilltop Securities. Good to be back in front of you here in Red Oak. You may recall that back in March, you approved a plan of finance for the IDC to move forward with a land purchase project. The IDC is purchasing land for industrial and economic development, and the plan entails funding a total of $13,740,000 worth of land. And in order to open up capacity and minimize budgetary effects to the IDC, you see that the name here is also sales tax revenue refunding bond. It's a restructuring of the IDC's existing debt to open up what we call a window of refunding so that we're able to fit in the new cash flow and minimize the budgetary effects to the IDC. That's the plan that you approved. We've been moving forward with that ever since. Today, this morning, we went out to market and sell the bonds. The underwriter in this transaction is Piper Sandler. You actually, as a city, have worked with Piper Sandler before when you refunded debt and when you issued certificates of obligation. They've been a good partner to the city. This time around, they sold 88% of, they sold most of the bonds. They kept 11% in their inventory. It's a choppy market out there. Rates are going up. Some investors don't want to commit, but they did sell most of the transaction, which is pretty impressive in this market that we're in right now. You have a bid to underwrite, or the IDC has a bid to underwrite for the entire amount of the bonds, and the IDC locked in at all-in true interest cost of 5.68%. The rates, again, have gone up. We had the Fed increase rates 50 basis points during the May meeting. We're expecting another 50 basis points increase, and a 25 to 50 basis points increase in July. Anywhere from 75 to 100 basis points is going to come. What we told the IDC in this flat, as we were talking to her this morning about the results, is if you move forward 6 months from today, you might be looking at a higher rate. And just the market we're in, the IDC got an efficient transaction based on what the market is today. I do want to highlight that the IDC got assigned the first-time rating of A by Standard & Poor's. The city, the EDC had an A back in 2019. We have never gone through this exercise before with the IDC because we never sold bonds in the open market. This time we sold bonds in the open market, and the IDC did get an A, so that's pretty impressive at the first time assignment of a rating. That allows you to lower your cost of borrowing out there in the market. We also got the bonds insured with a AA tax, so the IDC is selling AA rated bonds, which again lowers the cost of borrowing for the IDC. 30-year transaction, as we discussed, it's a fixed interest rate for the life of the bond, and the IDC does have the option to pay off some of that debt early if those lands that they're going to purchase is sold. So whatever land proceeds come in, the flexibility to pay off some debt early is there. So the plan is, yes, sir.
Those 20-year bonds?
Thirty-year bonds. Final maturity 2052. Now, they do have a 10-year call date, which is standard when you sell bonds. At that point, the IDC is able to refinance if it chooses to do so, or pay it off early with other funds on hand. Closing date here is May 31st. At that point, the IDC would have the funds in the IDC's account. You may notice there a sales tax remittance agreement. That's purely an administrative process in how the money coming in from the comptrollers in terms of sales tax is deposited into a separate checking account for the IDC. So the payment is there for the upcoming bond payment. As the rates went up, we looked at the budget and how to minimize budgetary impact to the IDC. We delayed the first payment of the principal up to 2024 so that the sales tax, which is growing, we are relying on an additional year for the sales tax to catch up in terms of growth before the IDC starts paying principal on it. There are interest payments prior to that, but it allows some flexibility for the IDC to minimize any budgetary impact that it could have with these new bonds. Now, the growth is there. It's grown consistently for the past 4 years in terms of sales tax. The expectation is that it will continue to be there, but we added some cushion there prior to the main debt coming up on the IDC's books. Any questions?
Or I have one quick question. So the 10-year call, when does the time start on that? Is that at the time of the sale of the bonds or the time of the payments of the bonds?
10-year call date starts as soon as you issue the bond. So it's not going to be 10 years exactly. It's August 15, 2032. So 90 days before you get there, you can choose to exercise that call.
So we're not having to wait 10 years from 2024 when the first payments are made?
No, that's correct. It starts on May 31st, which is the closing date.
All right, so for those of the, kind of dumb it down just a little bit for me.
Sure.
So you said, if we had delayed and sold these bonds in 3 months, 6 months, with what the inflationary rate is going, instead of 5.68%, speculation would have been 7%?
Speculation, well, what the economists are saying, and what the talk is in Wall Street is that it's either 75 to 100 basis points over the next 2 months. We already saw 50 basis points this past month. You have 0.75 to your current rate. That's a safe bet, but it could be 1% to your current rate. Some of it is built in, but it's hard to say what's built in and what isn't built in. You have to wait until the Fed meets.
Yeah. So anytime you delay selling bonds, you're probably going to be right in this market, and we're probably going to be paying a higher interest rate.
In this market, yes, sir. In this market, the expectation is it's an upward trend for the foreseeable future.
Okay, great. And that's everybody.
That's everybody. You know, we've had issuers in the market that have seen those types of rates. It's not the IDC, it's today's market rate for an investment grade rated corporation.
And you do this for a living.
I do this for
You look at this stuff.
I look at this stuff.
And probably weren't old enough when it was 21% interest, but
I wasn't, but I've heard stories.
you studied it at some point. Okay. There would have been, yeah, it's all good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Council, any other questions?
Well, I do have a question. I'll probably know what is that will be determined, all not determined, what that's going to find. What would that be?
It's already determined, and I apologize, that's the schedule of events that we drafted back in March. The final par amount here of the bonds is $50,120,000. A portion of that goes towards the land purchases, a portion of that goes towards refinancing some of your debt. And, you know, the typical transaction costs that are involved, insurance premiums, legal fees, financial advisory fees, rating fees. $13.7 million goes towards the land, $2.1 million goes towards cash, towards paying off some of your debt, but that's already been determined. That's just a schedule of events that, you know, we still put as a final amount.
When will that be?
Yes, today, that's just final.
So they were sold this morning.
They were sold this morning, started marketing at 10 a.m. We got a bid to underwrite around 3:30.
Good turnaround. That's, again, showing the positive aspect of the city. I mean, do they look at the city's rating too, or they look specifically at IDC?
They look at the entire picture.
Okay.
They look at your sales tax closely, depending on where coverage is high. If you look at the rating report page, the standard and Poor's quotes, if you having high debt service coverage. 1.7 is your debt service coverage, meaning you can cover that 1.7 times each year. We don't project your sales taxes. We look at the picture today. They do look at the city. Your city rated AA by Fitch and Standard & Poor's. When you have a corporation, but you have the property tax strength of the city. The corporations don't have the property tax strength. They have sales taxes, which are volatile in nature. So you go 2 notches down, and that's where you get the A. Still a high investment grade rate. Do look at the entire picture.
So getting more businesses that we are having come in, the stronger it supports both IDC and EDC.
Right, and the sales tax is not heavily concentrated in 1 or 2 payees. It's diversified. They look at all of these things in nature. We have conference calls with them, and you know, they understand that there is a diversified base of sales tax payees, and the coverage is there, that it has been growing, the sales tax, on a consistent annual basis.
Excellent. Any other questions, council?
No questions.
Thank you.
Just FYI, the IDC approved this earlier today, 5-0.
Okay. Everybody hear that? So this is, adoption of resolution 22-033R. I'll entertain that motion, please.
Your Honor, I move to adopt the resolution, approving the resolution authorizing the issuance of City of Red Oak Industrial Development Corporation sales tax revenue refunding and improvement taxable series 2020.
Second, please.
1 second. Thank you, Mr. Sweat. Did you have something before we say? Oh, yes, ma'am. Second.
Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Raleigh, aye. Wilson, aye.
That's 5-0. Thanks. Item 7, consider adoption of resolution number 22-034R, the City Council of City of Red Oak, Texas, accepting a petition for voluntary annexation and authorizing the setting of a date, time, and place for a public hearing on the, thank you, sir. Hearing on the contemplated annexation described in Exhibit A and depicted in Exhibit B attached hereto and made part hereof for all purposes, annexation area by the City of Red Oak, Texas, authorizing and directing the city staff to publish notice of such hearing with the institution of the annexation proceeding by adoption of the annexation ordinance to occur at the regular city council session, and to prepare a service plan for the annexation area, said annexation area being more particularly described in Exhibit A and depicted in Exhibit B, and providing an effective date. So, this is Mr. Hartman, who?
Can you identify it on?
Just pull up on the map.
Yeah, there's on the first. Again, it's a voluntary annexation. It is one that they're working with currently over with the planning and engineering.
It's over on Villa Road, across from the East Ridge Baptist Church, I believe is what it's called. Oh, I'm sorry, it's this bridge right here across from Baptist Church. Here's the senior living component of the Camden development, and it's this acreage here. What they're going to propose is some half-acre lots with some commercial frontage along the Villa Road. Oh, I'm sorry, yes, you're correct. We've got another one that's looking at doing that same thing there. So it is this tract here, but it's what they're looking at is some commercial along the frontage here, and then in the back doing half-acre lots because there's no sewer available, and we've been working with them on trying to integrate this creek here into the development, but we have not finalized anything, and they have not submitted zoning applications, but you'll see it when they submit it.
Very good. Where's the church on that?
The church is actually kind of catty corner over here.
Okay.
Sorry, I was thinking of this one that was also working on.
Yeah. Thank you.
How many acres in that?
43. 43.744. Okay. So according to our schedule, today's the 9th, so we're going to set one public hearing. That's going to be on May 28th. Newspaper notices of the public hearing, facility notices, school district notice, railroad, and then post notice on the website, maintain it until our public hearing, which will be at our next regular city council meeting, which is June 13th. That public hearing is potential adoption of the annexation ordinance. Okay. Council, do you have any questions on this? No questions. Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution 22-034R. Before we go, is the person asking for this, are they here? Are they online? Okay. All right. Entertain the motion. Okay. Got Councilman Wilson, second by Councilman Drake. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Sullivan, aye.
Wilson, aye. All right, that passes 5-0. So, council, please note that we will be having this come up on the 13th. Item 8, consider adoption of resolution 22-035R, the City Council, City of Red Oak, Texas, rejecting all bids for the Live Oak North Concrete Walkway with a lack of funds to cover said project, authorizing the city manager or his designee to execute the appropriate documentation and providing an effective date. Mr. Kelly.
On April 12th, the city accepted proposals from 5 vendors. Budgeted from this year was an estimated cost of about $28,700 for the sidewalk. The sidewalk is going to be located on the east side of Live Oak Street from Red Oak into the Watkins Park. Due to the fact that the bids came back, the lowest bid was $48,638. The highest bid was $153,000. So I'm just asking that we reject these bids, and we'll go at it with a different route using a mutual aid agreement with another city with a contract that's more favorable to the budget.
So how much square footage was that?
It's a 5-foot sidewalk with a linear of about approximately, there's about 600 linear feet in that.
So we are $20,000 less than the lowest bid?
Yes, sir.
Did we just?
Product cost has gone, and concrete has just gone completely skyward. the best offer that we can get is by using a mutual aid agreement with another city that already has a contract. And that contract cost will come back in around $35,700. And it's, rebar right now, the rebar cost is gone. And all of the vendors have said the same thing. Rebar cost has just gone skyward. They can only get a quote that'll hold for approximately 7 days. And concrete, it's just it's a guess. Correct.
Any other, questions, council? Nope. All right. Well, thanks for, we can always get it from IDC, right? All right, I'll entertain that, adoption of resolution 22-035R. Councilman Wilson.
Second.
Councilman Brawley. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Frank, aye.
Raleigh, aye. Wilson, aye.
That's 5-0. Item 9, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 22-015 in the city of Red Oak, Texas, amending the City of Red Oak Future Land Use Plan, Comprehensive Plan, and map thereof as amended by amending the land uses from Planning Area 5, PA 5, to Special Planning Area 1, SPA 1, to permit multifamily units and duplex uses for a 17.23 acre tract located south of South Central Boulevard, 342, and east of Highway 77 in the J. Lawrence Survey, abstract 653, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing the repealing clause, providing the severability clause, providing the savings clause, and providing a penalty of fine not to exceed $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. Case DC 22-14, requested by Nadi. Thank you. Guillermo?
Who's this?
Yeah, I apologize. So, she is, Dr. Emma. Yeah. Okay. She is our, yes. So, yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a request to amend the future land use map of the comprehensive plan from Planning Area 5 to Special Planning Area 1 to include multifamily units and duplexes uses for retirement communities. The current PA 5 designation prohibits multifamily units and duplexes. The applicant is proposing a retirement community that will be limited to seniors, and this proposed development will promote a diversity of housing in the city. The proposal includes 150 multifamily units, 10 individual duplex units, and many amenities such as a pond with a fountain and covered pier, outdoor areas for yoga and mini golf, a dog park, community garden, amenity center, and a 6-foot wide walking trail around the property. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of the request as presented, and staff agrees with the recommendation. Staff is available for any questions, comments. The applicant is available.
So we're just talking about changing the planning area for the, on the map, because it doesn't allow it right now as a future land use. But she's kind of explaining all the things that go along with their proposal, just to give you a better view of what is in the planning area, and what the use will contain.
Okay.
Bob, can we go ahead and give kind of the rundown on the next agenda?
Mayor, if you'll go ahead and call the public hearing, and we can take comments for both the comp plan amendment as well as the zoning change. And get one president.
Okay, and then if we can make sure it goes on to the Zoom component, so people online. Bedford, can you?
You see on Zoom, let's be on Zoom.
So let me, while y'all are working on that, let me go ahead and, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance 22-016 of the city of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the city of Red Oak, Texas, and amending the planned development 108, PD 108, to plan development 108 revised PD 108R for the development, use, and maintenance of multifamily units and duplexes for seniors on the property generally located south of the South Central Boulevard and east of North Highway 77 on approximately 17.23 acres tract situated in the J. Lawrence Survey Abstract 653 in the city of Red Oak, Texas, described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing for elevation, perspective, floor plan, landscape plan, and fence plan as provided in Exhibit D through F, providing a severability clause and providing an effective date. This also is case ZC 22-12.
This is a request to rezone the subject property from PD 108 to PD 108R for the development of a retirement community which consists of 150 multifamily units and 10 individual duplex units. There will be an amenity building, 3 3-story apartment buildings, and 1 2-story apartment building. Access to the site will be from Highway 342 and North Highway 77. The exterior of the buildings will be primarily masonry with a myriad of amenities as provided, as mentioned earlier. The site will meet or exceed landscaping requirements, and architectural interest has been provided on all facades of the building. P&Z recommended approval of the request with the condition that an 8-foot wrought iron fence be installed around the perimeter of the site along 342 with gated entrances for added security. Staff agrees with the recommendation. And the former PD was approved for 6 townhomes. So this one, they're just amending it to include the multifamily and duplex units.
But also putting the age restriction on it as well.
Where's that at?
Location of it?
Wilson, where you are,
55, right?
Yes.
You young livers. Yeah.
Get that answered, sir.
Heard section 5.
Yep. That's for the age.
Yeah, where the age restriction.
Right.
It's written in the ordinance, Bob, right? The actual text of the ordinance.
Where's it located?
The corner of 342 and 77 at that stoplight of Flint Hill. So to the southeast corner of that intersection.
Going down 342, yeah, when you, going down 342, look up to your left and now that hill, right before you get to 77.
Yes. All right, so, yeah, and it's interesting, they have this is gonna be a public hearing, so we'll talk about it here in just a second, but they go from, like a 20-foot elevation change from the road grade up a hill. So they have some interesting design stuff that they got to have to do. Everybody familiar with that now? Okay. So both of these are public hearings. Mr. Hager, do we need to do this as one public hearing or 2 separate public
You can have
hearings?
a public hearing and take comments on both, and we'll have the record reflect the public hearing.
Okay. So we'll open the public hearing at 8:11 p.m. Is there anyone that wishes to speak while we're still trying to get plans up on Zoom? So this was approved with those modifications from PNC, correct? 5-0 or something?
Sorry?
It was approved
Unanimously, yes.
unanimously? with the stipulation of the change in the fence and potential gate,
Gated.
gated, and the age.
The age was already there.
Okay.
Yes.
Age 55.
Yes.
55.
Senior house, 55 and older.
Thanks.
But you couldn't live there, Mayor, because you're not old enough. Me, on the other hand, I could. Thank goodness.
All right. We'll wait till they get that over.
Ben's got children that are old enough to live. 5 years. Oh, figured that.
This will make our fourth.
So we have Arabella, we have the one behind, the Ace Hardware. We have, this one that Mr. Hargrove off of Hickory Creek.
35.
Is, we have, well, that's an Arabella. I'm not familiar with the other two that you're.
I believe there's 2 on Red Oak.
There's one more down that, south of the Oaks. It's not, the development plan hasn't been approved, the zoning,
Oh, yeah, so
farm one has been approved.
down there by Sardine City.
And then when they just completed, I believe that Red Oak Road, the gated community.
Oh, that's not a,
That's not Andrew Street.
That's not even strict.
no, the townhomes? No.
Okay.
We all good? Okay, sir, thank you very much for your patience.
I'm Tom Malone, I'm the architect on the project, 814 Pennsylvania, coming out of Fort Worth, Texas.
Okay.
The site, as y'all have figured out, was a very difficult site, which can be a very nice site. But it's loaded with mature trees and some drainage, some active water on it. We use those elements to develop the project we have, limiting the project to 150 units, and basically designing it in a way that we won't disturb the trees that are along the highway. I think we had a stipulation in zoning to raise our 6-foot security fence to 8 foot and to add gates. But other than that, it was approved by zoning. It's, like I say, it's age restricted. It's really leaning towards people who have one car on the site. And then we're providing as many amenities as we possibly can so that they can enjoy the site itself. And you've heard a list of the amenities that we have, which includes a pool and an amenity building and dining facilities and things like that. Lights. See if I do this right. Oh, use the lens, okay.
Just try to go down to the next page.
Yeah, do it here?
Just,
There, okay. We did several renderings on the project. This is, one end where you've got, common garden area for the residents to use. Might mention also there is, they'll have vans to limit, take people to doctor's appointments and things like that, so we can reduce the use of their vehicles as much as possible. We do have cottages, what we call cottages, on the property. They do have 2-car garages with those cottages. There are just a few of them. The typical floor plan of the facility. Going up the hill, there is common pickup of all the garbage and things like that. The elevations, the design is trying to work with, there again, the site being heavily wooded. It's more of a craftsman style look, but has quite a bit of masonry on it. That's the amenities building, which has a rooftop deck and dining and kitchen, full kitchen. And on the second floor, they've got a theater room the connectors to the, buildings are, a acrylic material that allows full light to go through it. So it should be kind of a nice transition.
Enclosed?
Enclosed,
For,
yes.
for weather,
yes.
okay.
And they do have elevators, of course. So that'll be it. It's a no-brainer. And this is the floor plan, the overall site plan. You can see that they'll have a pond, it's got a fountain in it, and a pier. And these are the cottages you see scattered around. One rendering it.
Is that like fourplex cottage, is that what you mean, like that?
Yeah, well, it's, duplex.
Duplex, okay.
Yeah.
How far are you from Red Oak Creek from that?
No, not close.
No, close by.
Yeah, I don't know where the running water, there's just like a little natural drainage with, I think, water, somewhere.
You know that plumbing building there at the corner of 342 and 77? Straight ahead, 342 dead ends into 77, the left of that, that's where that is.
Going south.
Where you dead end.
Okay.
It's at the intersection of 77 and 342.
On the left side.
On the left side.
South side, yeah.
So you're above, you're not in the floodplain there.
No.
We're way up.
This is the landscape plan showing some of the amenities. We'll have benches along the walkways, of course. We tried to limit the walkways because of the restrictions on the site. It's kind of difficult, but we've got the walkways not climbing it any faster than a 5% grade, and the driveways are not going over about a 9% grade. So it's a reasonable parking. On it, they've got a little gazebo right here, and there's benches, landscape. There is the pond. Trying to make the walkway along this edge, which is highway edge, as natural as we can. I'm dropping the grade beam down so that we don't disturb that elevation, and therefore have the ability to save all of those trees, which is what we're hoping to do.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else here that cares to speak on this? Have an interest, step forward and state your name. Is there anybody online?
So I have a question, can I get there and answer that?
Sure. Good. Thank you.
Not sure who to direct my questions to.
State your name and here.
All right.
My name is Tony Pate, 1543 Steinbeck. In relation to the proposed development at the corner of Pratt and Steinbeck, as far as sewage collection goes for that, is there a sewer there, a sewer line currently?
There's not a sewer line there. We're extending a line down on the line.
So it picks up that tab. I'm just curious how that ties into other developments, that's all.
We'll probably end up doing a pro rata with them, so that, because they have main sewers here and their sites here, and so they have this length of sewer that crosses other properties. So when those properties develop, if they develop within the time frame of pro rata, they would pay the developer back for that portion of sewer that they're using.
Yeah, I'm just looking for education, that's all.
Sure.
Thank you.
Ben or Emma, I think there were some mail-ins, but I can't get this silly iPad to work to be able to read them all.
Mail-ins for P&Z?
Mail-in comments.
For today.
I got it. I'll show you them, I've got them printed right here.
If you want to read it out.
Yeah, this one was from, Claude Jr. and Rebecca Campbell, saying, no, due to thinking, more traffic will be in the area.
What's their address?
They are at 189 Deer Creek Drive in Waxahachie, Texas.
So that backs up to it, is that right?
Yeah, that's the development behind it.
Okay.
The
Up the hill.
manufactured home development.
Okay.
And that was the only one, I believe, right?
Yes, and then there was a opposition for the comprehensive plan amendment, but it's the same person,
Oh, same person, same thing, right?
Okay.
there's no comment.
Same statement?
There's no comment, just
Oh.
against it.
Oh, okay, okay. Okay.
We have a microphone. That's stationary.
For this?
For that.
I know, but
For you to hear?
for you to hear,
Yeah, I mean, do we have a microphone for people addressing council?
right there in front of her on the black table, there's a microphone.
Yeah, she don't, nobody hears that, I was wondering if you could get a little closer, right?
Oh, it's for you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, we don't have one set up for the microphone in here.
So we'll look at that the next council.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, okay.
Getting older.
I can't hear it back there. Also, for people I can't hear.
Okay, well, apologize for that, we'll make sure we have that up for our next council meeting.
Thanks, sir.
So basically, she said, the same person said no for item 9, and what, Mr. Hartman has said, for item 10.
Just in against with no other comments.
I just want to ask the gentleman, what's your question?
Well. All right. No other body to speak? Okay. I'll entertain a motion at, 8:23 to close this public hearing. Councilman Wilson. Second. Councilman Drake. Those in favor? Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Raleigh, aye. Wilson, aye.
All right, that closes at 8:23. All right, council, do you have any questions that, you need to ask our engineering or, the developer?
I have one question. For staff, Ms. M or Mr. Ben, does the PD regulate the, material for the structure?
So they have an, elevation plan that they've submitted, so if it's approved, it'll be built as is.
As is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, could you go back, I see the, rendering of the front elevation of the, apartment.
Sorry, it takes some time to load.
Okay. So this looks like majority brick.
That's
Majority
correct.
brick, it's got its own stucco.
Okay, majority brick, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has to fall in that 80%.
49, it's actually.
Four, yeah.
All right. Council, you have any questions answered? Want to discuss anything else?
No.
Okay.
I'd like to see if we can get that language changed before we motion at 55 in there instead of.
Yeah, it's been made. It's in section 1, it says seniors, and we have the clarification to add 55 in the ordinance.
Okay.
I made that change.
All right. We'll take each one separate, council. So consider adoption of ordinance number 22-015. That's Councilman Wilson.
Second.
Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Raleigh, aye. Wilson, aye.
Aye, there, maybe. Okay, that's 5-0.
Aye.
Item 10, which is, I'll entertain the motion Council, is there any other questions that you need for this one?
Good luck with me.
No questions. Okay. All right, I'll entertain approval of ordinance number 22-016. Councilman Wilson.
Mayor, just for the record, that would be the one that has section 1 change in it as requested by, Councilman Raleigh.
Okay.
That, 55 asbestos has been done.
Okay. Second was Councilman Franklin. Any other comments? Okay, those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Raleigh, aye. Wilson, aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. Item 11, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of, good, thank you all very much for coming. Looking forward to seeing how that turns out. Conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 22-017, City of Red Oak, Texas, amending the comprehensive zoning ordinance and map, City of Red Oak, Texas, as heretofore amended by granting a change in zoning from industrial to highway-oriented HO zoning district to planned development 138, PD 138, in accordance with the comprehensive plan on the properties located west of Interstate 35, I-35, and approximately 1,640 feet north of Speary Lane with property ID number 196885 and 188569 in the city of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas, and being more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, and providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date. This is case ZC 22-15, requested by the city of Red Oak staff. Charlie, no, I'm sorry.
Mayor, I'll let Emma give more of the details behind it, but the reason for this one, I asked staff to look into securing this area because we do have the retail area and the movie theater and so forth adjacent to the south side. We have another retail and commercial area to the north side of it, with that straight zoning still in the middle, which would allow somebody to come in and put, heavy industry or whatnot in the middle of the retail area. So this was not requested by the property owner. This was a city-initiated one based on trying to protect the interests of the two commercial retail areas on both sides of it. Emma, if you want to give the details.
Sure. This is a request to rezone the subject property from industrial and highway-oriented to prime development 138. The current industrial zoning district permits intense uses such as major auto repair, equipment rental with outside storage, facility for manufacturing, heavy machinery sales, service and storage, machine welding shop, mini warehouse storage, and motel uses by right. The purpose of this PD is to change the zoning so that it aligns with the comprehensive plan's vision, which calls for mixed uses, large anchor developments, retail, office, entertainment, grocery stores, and restaurants. If this PD were to be approved, the only land uses permitted would be those identified on Exhibit C list of uses. These uses shall conform with the city's comprehensive plan, and the Planning and Zoning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the request that's presented to us. Staff is available for any questions.
And I would also point out, what we did was we took the list of uses that are allowed in Victron movie theater area and used those same uses for this ordinance, except for multifamily. And we've left that specifically out for right now. We understand that there may be some component of multifamily that might be requested in there as transition between the more commercial area and the existing homes. But rather than just leaving it a blank check, we felt like it'd be better to bring that back before you again if we do get that request.
Yeah, that was Okay, so this is a public hearing. We'll open the public hearing. I'm sorry, I'm losing my time. At 8:31. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on this matter? Was there anybody online? Okay. One here that was. I entertain a motion at 8:32 to close this public hearing.
Let's do this.
Councilman Wilson. Councilman Brawley. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Raleigh, aye.
Wilson. I'll change that. You're not, no.
Now, this is the property that's just north of the
Yes. Any other questions, council? You know exactly where we're talking about?
Yeah.
What's Spirit Lane, where's that?
Spring Lane is in the little residential subdivision to the south.
That's only 1,000 or 1,600 feet, like it's just on the north side of the property for the, movie theater. All right, entertain a motion to approve ordinance number 22-017.
So moved.
Councilman Wilson.
Second.
Councilman Franklin. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye. Drake, aye.
Raleigh, aye.
Wilson. Aye.
All right, it passes 5-0. Item 12, conduct a public hearing and consider approval of ordinance number 22-018, the City of Red Oak, Texas, amending comprehensive zoning ordinance and map of the City of Red Oak, Texas, as hereto amended, and granting a change in zoning from Plan Development 42, PD 42, to Plan Development 42, Revised 1, PD 42, R1, for the construction of a daycare facility on Lot 1, Block 1 of the Josie Acres addition located in the southwest corner of Louise Ritter and Lawrence Road. Address of 201 Josie Lane, City of Red Oak, Ellis County, Texas. Said property being more particularly described in Exhibit A, which is attached hereto and incorporated herein in Exhibits B through F, providing a repealing clause, providing a severability clause, providing a savings clause, providing a penalty of fine not to exceed the sum of $2,000 for each offense, and providing an effective date, case DC 22-13, requested by Red Oak Academy, LLC.
This is a request to rezone the subject property from PD 42R to PD 42R1 for the development of one daycare facility. The building will be approximately 6,578 square feet in size, with an outdoor play area with adequate parking and landscaping provided. The exterior of the building will be 100% masonry with architectural accents. Access to the site will be provided from Josie Lane, and an emergency access will be provided from Louise Ritter Road. P&Z recommended approval of the request as presented, and staff agrees with it.
Council, this is one that has been approved previously as a daycare center, but they did have access problems, so that's the reason they're having to come back and do this. They, at one time, a different property owner was trying to work with a school district to have shared access. That didn't work out, so they had to change the development.
Turn around.
Access as in ingress and egress, or access as in?
Ingress and egress.
This my iPad also is messing up. Get a chance, can you go to the site plan or whatever? So this is a public hearing. We'll open this public hearing at 8:36. So I think our wordage is wrong, or whatever you read was wrong, so that it's gonna be off of, did you say Louise Ritter, or did you say off of?
Access will be from Josie Lane, and then the emergency access will be from Louise River.
Okay. So that's gonna be blocked. Except for,
Okay, with this
Yeah.
gate.
yeah, with the gate. Okay. I must have just heard you wrong. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on this? Anybody online? Oh, I'm sorry. Please, step forward and state your name and your address.
Mike Gary, 1512 Steinbeck. I don't live anywhere close to this, but I got people that do, and I would be willing to bet a nickel that none of y'all have been over there when those schools are releasing students. That's gonna be a nightmare.
I'll take your nickel. I'll take it, sir.
Yeah. Hey, the only way to get to Josie is off of Louise River. And the only way to get there is go past all the school traffic. So, make the hill beans if you build it or not, I don't care. I'm just telling you, that's gonna be a traffic nightmare.
I'm not contesting that. I'll take your nickel since I have been over there.
Just for background, like Todd said, it's already been approved for a daycare, different site plan. So they can just submit a permit today and build it better than what they have right now. At least get them out through Josie, the evening, public safety. And put it back. So, that's no one is saying solve traffic problems. There's no pilot for it.
I think that, when was that approved, back in '03 or something?
Yeah, a long time ago. And I did talk with, Kevin at the school, and they were adamant about not cross-connecting and all that, so that option was looked at, to try to, alleviate some of that, congestion at that corner, but they weren't willing to do it, so fine, their property.
Anyone else? All right, I'll entertain a motion at, 8:39 to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Councilman Wilson. Second. Councilman Franklin. Those in favor? Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Burke, aye.
Raleigh, aye.
Wilson, aye.
Yeah, I too know the traffic is very horrendous over there and not safe, but, if we didn't have, if they have a middle school someplace else, that'll help alleviate some of that. So, it won't be near as crowded right there, but, all right, council, just like what engineering just said, I'll entertain a motion to approve this ordinance 22-018. Councilman Wilson. Councilman Drake. Those in favor? Franklin, aye.
Aye.
Drake, aye.
Raleigh, aye.
Wilson, aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. Item 13, discussion regarding the feasibility of Pratt Road serving a viable north-south collector and potential improvement recommendation for Pratt Road due to increased traffic with the opening of Loop 9. Councilman Brawley.
Thank you, Mayor and council. Last month, if you remember, we approved for the state 22-0. And, at that meeting, several residents were voicing concerns about the traffic flow from the Mobile up to Loop 9. And because it wasn't, we could discuss, other aspects of that development and how it might impact that area. So I wanted to bring it before the council so we can discuss it and dialogue and see if, maybe there's, some planning that we can do and resolve before it's, traffic jam. I talked to a couple of the residents that were at that meeting, asked if, they would like to, come in. That's what was talking about, the public comment. We'd allow them an opportunity to give some flavor of what they see in that area that, you know, we may not be aware of, and maybe they have some additional input or even the same input they had in the last meeting, just so we can, talk about it.
So, engineer, are you able to get that kind of pulled up so we all know? And so is this discussion is from Willow Road up to that property that was then approved?
Right.
Okay.
And to continue on, past where it goes to, what plans do you have? How address this issue?
All right, so, Mr. Hager, since, I mean, this is discussion, so we can just allow a citizen to kind of express,
Sure, they would have been made a public comment, but they wanted to make it while discussion item, so it's appropriate for them
Okay.
to use their open mic session, if you will, or citizen comment portion now, so go read those rules.
Yep, okay. So I have two that were turned in. I'm not sure, there's probably others. And, you know, we just ask that you speak slowly and, so the city secretary can get the, addresses. I'm gonna butcher the first one that was turned in. Hope he's still here. Esteban. Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize. So if you would get up and, as soon as Mr. Hartman gets it kind of pulled up.
Mr. Mayor, point of order, just for fairness clarification, is there a time limit?
Yeah, oh yeah, you bet, we're gonna say it's, that's what we typically
Yeah,
have.
and citizens comment portion, we just moved it to the back, so those rules apply, the citizens comments apply, this,
Yeah.
this is not a public hearing.
Make sure we're fair.
Got the location map pulled up here. What we're talking about is, you know, here's Pratt Road coming up north right now with the big 90s in it, and then as we discussed last time, there was the relocation of the right of way, so there's a nice smooth curve, and then it'll eventually connect up here to Loop 9 in Lancaster. Here is the city limit line along with the county line right here.
Do you know that distance from, city back to?
So the current distance from Ovilla to the proposed development is roughly 3,100 feet. So I guess that's really the main focus, is the southern portion of the development to, Ovilla Road, and then obviously working with Lancaster to do anything up through Lancaster.
Is there a way to get that on Zoom for?
Oh, yeah, sorry, let me.
You talking about just now? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was not on Zoom. I had to log in and out to get back to items I needed.
So just a reminder, this discussion is not an action item, so we just, Councilman Brawley, appreciate you getting these people to kind of come. We do understand that it's going to be an issue, but maybe some insight might help us. So.
All right, you guys getting that on Zoom?
Yep. All right. Okay. Sir, if you'll step up, state your name, your address, and, tell us what you want to, and if someone will try to keep that time. Well.
Okay, my name is Esteban, and I'm the guy that lives right,
What's your address?
1517 Steinbeck, right there. That's the property my area right here. See all that green part right there? Those are all trees. What I have heard that wants to be proposed is there's a bridge right there, a large bridge that goes into Bear Creek. And I had some discussion with the gentleman that works with the developer, and he was supposed to meet me out there this week sometime, so we could see where actually the bridge is actually pointing. And the sketches that I have seen, that I got from him, from Sam, kind of make a little line from here and goes this way, and I guess there's discussion about taking about 2.5 acres from my property, and then this other part right here, I'm staying back and make Pratt go that way. You stand right at that bridge, it's right there on Bear Creek. If you look at it, that bridge is pointing straight that way, like rather to that side right there, like that. Go towards my property right here and towards my neighbors right here, that is going to make a definite S-curve, more so than there is now. I mean, a lot more than there is now, obviously. And just kind of following the discussion here earlier with the gentleman that had the retirement housing, the developer, he was saving trees and stuff. And if my property gets the way it's proposed right there, there's about 20 trees right there in that corner that provide security and privacy for my property that are, you know, supposedly want to be taken out. I recommend, and like also right there, I recommend that we look at that again and look at it, because I can tell that Pratt needs to go straight that way, north. And the reason I say that is because of the increase in vehicles, traffic, and there's going to be a grade upwards going north. It could possibly slow traffic down a little bit, because from all this area right here, there's a drain that comes this way of all the rainwater that happens, and also from this whole area over here comes straight down. And there's a big pipe that's right there that comes across from my neighbor, and it drains right through my property. And there's another drain that drains from this development area that drains right there by the fire hydrant. It goes right through the property, right there on the corner of my property.
Okay. Thanks, sir, though, you know, we'll have to cut you off on that. Now, at some point, you know, I don't think your property was on that development, was it?
No, it's not on the development.
No, the transition piece that we
It was
talked
the
about,
road.
south of the,
Okay.
south of development.
Okay.
Trying to, because all of the concerns were, you can't just put it in like this, because it's gonna go like this, and everybody's crashing into the fence. And so what we had the developer do was say, okay, well, you need to go look off-site to see how that can line up, so that it'll be safe coming off the bridge and connecting with the new development.
Okay, and that's what you were saying, the gentleman's gonna be meeting with you this week.
Supposedly, I hope so.
Well,
The gentleman named Sam,
You can't take his property, you know.
yeah, I don't,
Development engineer.
that's Sam, okay.
Let me ask one question, Chair Mayor. Perhaps I missed it, what is your ask, if you was to ask council or staff to come? What was your ask to the question?
We wanted it diverted more north, west from the bridge.
from the bridge, it needs to go more west. Like that, and put it straight up. Whose property is that? Developers. There's areas in the development of Proclamation that you see that there's more options to move his properties around, you know, the way they have it on that design for the 6 acre or the half acre area. There's a lot of options for him to redesign that versus going to the east side and taking out a bunch of trees and having to redo a bunch of stuff.
Unfortunately, sir, that I think it was approved, unless he came back to us. But so, you know, maybe you, when you're talking to him, you know, hopefully he can see that. Hopefully he's seen it before, but, you know, we don't have any, obvious remedies at this point right now.
If that developer can't take his property.
We're not here to debate that true. I mean, he has to negotiate with him. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's not something that we're forcing him to do or gonna help him do or anything like that, so.
So then, the developer has to stay on the road and not just go into my property or my neighbor's property? Is that what you're saying?
What they're saying is that he has to negotiate with you to buy your land. He can't just take it. Basically, that he's gonna have to pay you and come to an agreement if you're willing to sell it.
That's civil, isn't it?
So, you know, I don't.
I never got the idea that he was gonna get on anybody else's property.
Well, Mr.
Gary.
Yeah. Mr. Gary,
Northeast.
is that right?
That we're gonna have.
Yeah, so we had that discussion. He had worked that over, or has he met with you yet?
I visited with him, yes.
Okay.
I mean, this is something that I tried to get through P and Z.
Excuse me, what's that point of order?
Yeah. I don't, let's see. Well, I don't have a list for you, so hang tight just a second if you would. Let me have Mike Clark, Larry, Mike somebody?
Gary?
Mike Gary, that's you. I got you.
Here I am.
I'm sorry. I apologize.
1512 Steinbeck.
There you go. We do have him.
Make sure you're not skipping.
All right. So.
Okay, this goes back 2 or 3, before all this was approved with this developer, I tried to get everybody's attention, say, hey, you know, this is what he's wanting to do, and I don't understand with the alignment of the bridge, the way it is, unless y'all are gonna redo that whole bridge. You come off that bridge and you go east, you go up there, and then you turn back west on his property. I don't understand why we can't come off, like I've said, from day one, let's come off that bridge and angle up that way, to the west, to the north.
Like what he's.
That's what I said. And now, y'all have come back and go, well, that's not the city, that's on the developer, because we approved it. And everybody here has been standing up hollering, saying, look. So he wants to take an acre of my land and 2.5 acres of Esteban's land and put the road there. Because he don't want to move his lot. You know, I could give 2 shits whether he has 2 lots over there. He can move the lots. It ain't built, there ain't nothing done. You know, I sent an email to Ben, try to get him to come out there and let's visit with this. Crickets. I didn't get nothing back. I was told that nothing would ever be done in my lifetime on Pratt Road.
Are you saying that the developer is not cooperating?
The developer he's cooperating fine if I want to sell him my land. And then he came up and he said,
I'm confused on what's being
okay.
asked.
He's asking to take 1 acre of my land, 2.5 acres of his land.
But isn't that between the developer and you guys?
That should be between the developer and y'all. That's what I'm saying. Why am I having to give up my land so he can build a development?
Who does the negotiating? The citizens and them and the developer.
That's what's got me confused. Why am I having to negotiate?
That is not, it isn't built now. Between you guys.
Y'all are telling them they have to build the road. That you told him he has to build that road through there before he could ever do the development.
The white.
He had to widen the road and build it. Why does he have to build it on my property? And his.
This can go on forever.
So here's a simple solution. We told him he has to build the road.
Yeah.
We didn't say where. We approved where he wanted to build it, because that's where he asked to build it. But he's gonna have to work with you guys, and if he can't work it out, then he may have to come back and say, okay, I can't get this worked out. City, either you're gonna have to help me, or you're gonna have to let me move the road somewhere else, but I know I still have to build the road.
I mean, I don't want it to have to come down to eminent domain.
Your law. So it's y'all work. If y'all say no,
Well,
then
I mean,
come back.
I'm not griping about the road. I'm just griping where they want to put it. I don't want it on my property.
Well, then, exactly.
I'm not.
Communicate that with the developer.
But what I see, like I'm here now talking, what I see in the future is the city coming in and saying, well, we're gonna put the road here, and we're gonna give you, eminent domain, we're gonna take the property.
So we can't
do it as a developer, we could.
We can't do it without your approval.
No, we
No,
could.
there's eminent domain in Texas, they done it.
Legally, we could do it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we're gonna do it, I'm just saying technically we have the legal ability to do it. But the other problem is, if you go the other direction, then you're on somebody else, because there's another property to the west side of the road before you get into the developer's property.
Yes.
No, there's another one besides him.
Yeah, but we're only talking on Barry's property, we're only talking about taking 50, about 75, I mean.
That's to the left of that
Little
area.
bitty area, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be
Driveway?
right there.
That's the driveway?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's the property line, actually.
It's just past his driveway, actually.
Okay.
Do we have anybody else to speak?
Yes, thank you, sir.
I mean, I'll offer.
And we're gonna stay around, because we're gonna discuss it, we can discuss it.
Yeah.
But I just gotta cut you off.
I'm good with it.
That's a 3. Was there anybody else that wanted to speak on this?
I'll speak on it.
Sure.
I'm very impressed.
Yeah. Again, state your name and your address.
Stony Page, 1543 Steinbeck. Again, thanks for listening to me. I'm not affected by that development. My concern is the road, North Pratt itself.
From Mobile Road.
From Mobile to the development.
Okay.
And I guess I sound bitter and a broken record, but as the city of Red Oak is growing, I just would like to ask, what is the plan? I heard the last meeting that we're just gonna leave the road as is, and we'll plan on it down the road. Well, let's back up to the child development intersection. The middle school was the high school at one point, and that road's been there the same way for the last 30 years. I mean, why can't we do something correctly the first time, be done with it? And then bring in people that want to buy $750,000 homes. What the thought said, right? But yeah, that's just, I don't understand why we don't work together with Rocket Water instead of their water line and cutting down that Pratt Road and doing stuff correctly the first time. That's all. That's all I got.
I didn't understand that last comment, but.
Well, so I asked.
Gonna have utility relocate, stuff like that.
Right.
Okay.
Why can't we just collaborate and do everything, once?
We don't play nice with Rocket.
Well, yeah, I've gathered that, but
We're getting better.
Yeah, we're getting better.
We're doing our best.
Okay. Yeah, so it's that development with that 4-lane and Loop 9 coming in, it's going to force the city to have to widen that road from Mobile Road up, okay? And again, it just takes fun, takes money. It's gonna have to be a 4-lane road, probably just like through that development. It'd be nice if we had the money to be able to do that prior to that development coming in, but it's probably not gonna happen. And I'm just speaking off the cuff right here, but, if there's a headache because your property is sunk down into that drainage, got those trees, and there's no good, the last time I drove that, and, it was kind of tough, to kind of be on that road, so, you know, I think Loop 9 is gonna force us to have to do it sooner than later. You know, and this discussion brings it to our point that we need to look at that even sooner.
So what's the timestamp for the widening of Villa Road on the east side of the road?
Yes, the lead is June of 2013, 2023, which then would start construction 24 or 25.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going through there and buying a property already for moving fences back. So I was just to the point of the sidewalk earlier. I mean, could we not collaborate with TxDOT to try to, you know?
So they won't do that because it's not a state road.
Well, I didn't know if you was like subcontractor or something to work together to expedite it.
Okay.
Not only your 3 minutes, you're up top.
No, our discussion was from Mobile Road up to Loop 9, so. So intersection of Mobile Road and Pratt Road, we can't,
So really quick, TxDOT is doing Ovilla Road, that's not the city.
Right.
TxDOT is anticipating putting sidewalks on Ovilla Road.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the question you were asking.
No.
But then we've got to take from Ovilla Road up to where this new subdivision is going.
Understood.
And I think Ben has got some stuff we can talk about, because I asked Ben to look at it. Councilman Brawley brought it up. So he has looked at, you know, some very preliminary costing and that type of thing. We also have a transportation plan that shows kind of where that has been on the plan for quite a while. But the other thing, going back to some of y'all's questions, is, yeah, I anticipate we will have to take that whole bridge out and start over from scratch. Because we can't have a little narrow bridge right there. And when we do that, we're not gonna be able to put it back right where it is, because we've got to keep the road open while the bridge is being built over here. So that all of that whole intersection over time is gonna change. And not just there, I mean, we're gonna have right of way all the way up. We can't fit 4 lanes in the right of way that's there, so we're gonna be talking, if it's not the developer talking to you guys and everybody else along Pratt Road, it's gonna be the city, and for sure the city, from the development all the way down to Pratt Road. So we're gonna have to have right of way, because there's just not enough there to do it.
Right.
And we're gonna have to redo the bridges, because the bridges are not gonna work the way they are, so, yeah.
I mean, I just wanted to express concern of doing something right first, that's all.
I understand.
You know. Anyway, appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Ben, if you wanna speak real quick, maybe show them the transportation plan and kind of go over what numbers you came up with.
And ours probably won't be a concrete road, like the developers. Unfortunately. Maybe what, like, kind of, so this is where we might partner with the county, just like from Steenback going, east. That's where they did that, right? That asphalt road.
So here on our transportation plan, is Pratt Road. It's been on the books since 2010, and I believe it's been on the county's plan as well, on their master thoroughfare plan since then, and I believe even before. Like I had mentioned during the zoning hearing, right now, the road shows it going straight up, but that was when Loop 9 was actually hugging the county line, and so it made sense to do that and come in here and go straight, but since then, the Loop 9's been pushed up to the north, and then comes back down over here. So when we were initially talking with this developer and talking about Pratt Road, the decision was made based on a meeting with Lancaster that we should have the entirety of Pratt Road go through the development instead of in its current alignment. So typically when you widen the road, you're gonna set the center line of where it is right now today, and then just go get 50 feet on this side and 50 feet on that side, regardless of who owns it or who's doing what. So this was a better option in the short term, certainly for the city, and by way of getting the road done, but also in the long term of getting a viable connection with proper radii moving up through Lancaster. In addition to that, also not blowing out existing homes with a roadway connection here.
And on top of that, Lancaster had
no desire,
intention or desire that they were gonna do anything anywhere in their.
Right, but it is on their plan. It's on their transportation plan, but it is not on their radar, from a development standpoint versus us. Our thinking is we would much rather have it at the time of Loop 9 development. So we're at least setting that up, to make that viable for Lancaster if they start getting development in that area.
What's that big road to the right of that? That one?
This one, this is.
That'd be extending Bachelor.
Right, yeah, Bachelor coming up to Loop 9, and then, but now, with Loop 9 up here, it'll also kind of have a similar alignment where it'll have to kind of come up through Lancaster and connect. I did look at some, real preliminary numbers on this, totaling up about a $7 million job, and that's, I would say, just add 5% a year to that, with the way things are going construction-wise. A lot of right-of-way acquisition, about $1 million, paving and drainage, plus the bridges, you're looking at, almost $4 million just for that. TxDOT signalization down there at Ovilla, it would be a massive project, for our city, it would be a massive project.
And there's some possibilities on the bridges, like the bridges that went in there, or that were redone, that are existing today. There was TxDOT grant money that helped pay for the bridges, and they're not gonna help pay for any road work. And there's no guarantee that they would be able to help us with the bridges, but that would be things that we would look at to try to work with TxDOT. I think one of the bridges you might actually be able to widen a little bit, but the other one you're not. And to be able to stay in alignment makes it difficult.
Right.
One of the bridges concrete, that's pretty nice. The other one south of it is iron.
So that's the northern one?
Yeah, this is the northern bridge, and then the southern bridge is, right here. It's very, very narrow and old bridge.
Is that your house with the pool there?
Yeah.
It's the one to the north.
No, this is south.
Probably that one.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're talking about, Bachelor going through as well, Loop 9?
Yes.
So can we just get in, Pratt, into that subdivision and cut off? Solve that problem right there?
Well, that's not coordinating with our other people.
Might be hard for that. That's a little traffic there.
So that's one of the intersections on Loop 9, that's why those roads are that way.
Trying to use it.
I understand.
Things going all the way down to Louis River too, Pratt Road. Actually. 4 lane down there.
Council, any other comments on this?
No.
Thanks for looking at those numbers up, 7 and 8, I'm sure it's conservative estimate, but I want everybody to look those. but I would like, I asked for this to be on here before I realized it would be voted out, but I'd like for the council going forward to at least keep an eye on this and see what we can do to establish this dialogue in Lancaster, but also, like you said, those grants.
Right.
Budget talks are starting up, start some preparatory things.
And just to be honest with you, it's just what we saw today with bond rates.
Every day with
It's going up.
So, you know, I guess kind of some of it is, you know, talk to that developer and that, whatever, you know, don't have to say yes. Or you might be able to get a lot of money for it.
Well, ain't gonna be cheap. Let me ask you a question. I mean, is this okay?
Yeah, unfortunately, probably can't right now, so. Might be able to ask, city engineer, might be able to answer some of that a little bit afterwards. Okay. Item 14, discussion regarding aesthetic enhancement of the proposed Willow Road Bridge crossing at the Burlington Northern Bnsf Railroad right-of-way, State Highway 342.
This didn't make it in your packet, so I'm gonna hold up the screen now. For you guys, kind of follow along if you wanted to have a more up close view.
So if y'all remember back, and this may be over a year ago when this first came up, even, it's been several months. We had the discussion about the aesthetics on that overpass going over the railroad tracks. And they finally have got back with Ben on, here's what it looked like, here's what the cost may be, and so forth.
Right, so, essentially, what they were going to provide, so the railroad has a requirement, they have lots of requirements, but one of them is, that they want a fence on top of the retaining wall that goes over the bridge. And if y'all don't remember, when Ovilla Road goes, it's an at-grade crossing right now with the train and 342, and it's with the improvements, it's gonna go over both. Okay, so this is what we're talking about the east-west that will now go over the railroad track and the, and 342. So the rail and TxDOT, want fencing on top of the bridge retaining walls, that go over, and so their standard is chain link with this very plain, retaining wall, but they do have a more decorative option, that, looks, more like this. And I was trying to find one, I actually drove, I went and walked the Hatchie that's actually built.
South of downtown.
Yeah, you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah, right there.
35, we're talking about 242.
This is over, this is the bridge on Ovilla. So this is the more aesthetic option. And so essentially what they said is, we'll give you credit for what it costs to build the standard retaining wall, and then you would just pay the difference between standard retaining wall and the slightly more aesthetic.
They're not requiring a fence over the top of that, since it goes over
I
that
don't
road.
think it's done. This was before it was finished, still under construction.
Okay.
I don't know if it's still not done. All this says January 22 street here. And then, so in addition to the more decorative concrete, looking at doing an upgraded fencing as well. Still doesn't look great, but it's better, I guess, in my opinion, it's better than the chain link, just the galvanized chain link. So, all said and total, it'd be a difference of $378,000, to be paid out at the time of construction, which is 2 or so years from now. So we just need to kind of budget accordingly. So really, the ask is, do we want to do something like this? Which I think the direction, when I talked about it before, was like, well, let's at least look into it, see what we're looking at cost-wise, and then we can make a decision. So it's around about $400,000. But I did want to also show the abutment. So you guys know what the standard, what it looks like out there on a villa right now. That's kind of what they would do right now, is what their plan would be for a villa road, that same abutment. And so I asked, if we could do something different, because there's a lot of cities that do really nice detailing and retaining walls, and but they were mega expensive, like in the millions range. So I said, well, can we utilize some of your free options and just do a different pattern? And so this is what they provided to us, which was, I think they call it the ashlar pattern. It kind of looks like it's a kind of a stamped rock pattern. And so they gave us kind of 4 different options to look at using their free option. So they can incorporate the city logo in there. This first one is just the ashlar. This next one is called fractured fin. It's basically like an exposed aggregate and very small linear lines.
Is that what we have? What did we approve for O'Ville Road?
So O'Ville Road is the standard one. I think it's just a flat face. We weren't able to get, because we were talking about doing stenciling on the bridge or adding a sign, and they wouldn't let us add anything like a relief, like a red oak Texas or anything like that, and even the painting they wouldn't allow us to do.
Los Angeles put names on the bridge.
They did the same thing in Mansfield too. I don't know why it's become a maintenance issue. They don't want to paint anything anymore, is what they told me. So,
Do you know what's that 77 underneath that they keep putting the graffiti on?
But this would be the fractured fin option, and then the mix of the fractured fin and the ashlar, just going every other panel row, just to give it some kind of depth and variation. And then a ashlar kind of up near the main abutment where it starts to fly, and then the fractured fin as you go back down towards grade. So I know this didn't make it in your packet, so I don't expect you to make a snap decision on it, but if you guys want to take a look at it, take the handouts with you. We can also send these out via email, and if you like one over the other, I can start moving, those pieces around with TxDOT to get that finalized.
What's our deadline?
if we can just talk about it next meeting, and then also if you guys think we want to move forward with this cost estimate, we can kind of finalize that. We probably would need to pad it a little bit, and just start planning budget-wise for it in that year that it comes.
So is that something that go up in price? Or is that gonna be?
Yeah.
It will?
Yeah, I would think so. That's why I think we need to pad it a little.
Well, it depends on when you sign the agreement.
So that's also true, yeah.
So the way they do their agreements, there is a possibility that it wouldn't go, because you've already locked it in. But it depends on the actual agreement that they provide. So just to be clear, the four options on the embankment walls, those are all free. We can do any of those and it doesn't cost us anything.
Right.
If we wanted to put in the logo, then it would cost $36,000.
Right.
And if we wanted to put in just a wrought iron fence instead of chain link, that would cost $38,000.
Right.
So the bigger number is if we did the concrete versus the architectural concrete.
Correct.
So that'd be your option. I mean, if you didn't want to spend $400,000, if you wanted it to be a little bit dressier, you could say put the logo and or the wrought iron instead of chain link, or one or the other, or just go with the free. But just make sure everybody kind of has an idea next month what you think.
Yeah, so if there's any discussion points or any questions, let me know, and I can incorporate that for next month, or we can, you guys can review, and we can have a more, poignant discussion next month. Sure.
This is the one over I-35 south, right?
No, this is the one over 342 and the railroad track.
Oh, we want to put something there.
Mandatory.
So we're gonna put something there, it's just whether we want what they're giving us or something that looks better.
So, what have you, bridge over the thing? Okay.
Yeah, so they'll have the main lanes going all the way over from, you can show them on there, Ben. But then they'll also have almost like a frontage road that stays at grade. So if you're wanting to get on to 342, or if you're wanting to go to one of those businesses right there in that intersection, do a U-turn, then you can still do that. But main flyover, that's not an option. That's railroad requirement. So it'll be there. It's just, do we want it to look like they are giving us, or do we want to dress it up? Yeah, there you go.
So the purple is that gray here, to kind of distinguish that, and then the main lanes are yellow, and then the light yellow is the full span.
That's 077 going in 35?
No, this is
342 and over.
Oh, that's.
Google is on the top left.
Okay,
yeah, Google right here.
I'm good ways out. All right, I got it.
Right.
Finally.
Thank you, sir, very much. Board appointments, item 15. Appointment or reappointment, resignation for board and commission, consider approval. We have, recommendation for the Economic Development Corporation to reappoint Alan Hughley, Greg Bennett, Jack Edwards as regular members for the 2-year term from June 22 to June 24. Appointment of Karen O. Stanfill as a regular member for a 2-year term from June 22 to June of 24. I'll entertain that motion.
All right. All right, Ron, come on. Yes. Yes.
I so moved. This guy, yes, so moved.
Councilman Wilson, second by
Yeah.
Councilman Goodwin. Those in favor?
Franklin, aye.
Great, all right.
Raleigh, aye.
Wilson, aye.
That passes 5-0. Departmental reports, Chief, Flank. Hey, you get Chief Wolf back if he's done.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Our members that were deployed out west to assist with the wildfires, you'll remember they were deployed back in March. They went to Eastland, the Mineral Wells, McGregor, Gatesville, Coppers Cove, and Childress. They returned back home on April the 18th, so they're back here. Did a great job, provided a lot of assistance throughout the state of Texas. Kind of seemed like they were all over from north to south, back to the north. They've warned us this year that it's going to be a severe wildfire continuous outbreaks with the lack of rain and stuff out west. We've got some of our northern counties in Texas that are already hitting 105, and they haven't had rain in an extended period of time, so it's going to be an active wildfire season, unfortunately, for this year. Our crews have been conducting a lot of special operations training, even pipe hole training, removing balloons from high ceilings, so good to see that paid off. Yeah.
And people, can't sound trees.
Yeah, yes. We don't use that to get that out here. I know Chief Wolf will have some comment to make when he comes up here next, so I'm preparing myself for that. We've also been able to do some public education, get back in the realm of that. We've had a hiatus with that with the pandemic going on, and we've been fortunate to get it back out there. We've had several schools come by the station and visit, which we, enjoy getting to, show the next generation, and get some of that public safety stuff, out there as well. Other than that, I've been working on preparing our budgets, for next year, and I don't have any additional comments unless Council or Mayor, if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Chief Wolf.
Mayor, Council, just a few things. April 26th, I had the privilege to promote several officers within the department. I was able to promote Lieutenant Mark Schroeder to Assistant Chief. That was a process that we went through. We opened it up externally, had approximately 40 applicants that had applied. Through an internal evaluation process, we were able to select him and promote him to Assistant Chief. We were able to move Sergeant Jason Estabel to the Professional Standards Lieutenant, and we promoted Sergeant Chris Schley to one of the vacant patrol lieutenant spots. We have two, one on each side. So we were able to make quite a few internal promotions. We have a test this coming Friday for sergeant to fill those vacancies. I have 5 internal candidates that are testing for the sergeant's position, and hopefully we'll be able to make a decision with that sometime middle of next week. We've also recently done some evaluations and looked at some of our numbers with regards to accidents and traffic activity, and have been able to implement some directed patrols in specific locations in town, try to do some traffic calming, as well as deploying the radar trailer to try and get us some numbers to do some additional traffic calming efforts. And we saw some increase in some of our activity with regards to those specific areas in town that we were able to identify through some statistical analysis. Again, as always, I'll be happy to answer any questions about the monthly report if you have any.
Officer appreciation is next week?
Yeah, so it actually starts this weekend, the 15th, and it runs through next week. So we're starting it on Sunday, and then we'll run it all the way through next Friday. And that police week, we do a ceremony internally. We'll also participate in the county program in downtown Waxahachie with a wreath laying. And we'll provide meals to staff. All the command staff comes in we work a shift, and we also cook out for those shifts, so they get a good hot meal and try to take care of those guys on patrol.
If you will send me the schedule for the, serving the meals, if it's evening, I'll come by about 6.
Absolutely, I'll make sure that you get it. We can take care of that.
At least I'm working for it.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. There's only really one item I'd like to highlight from this month's report. Starting in July, we will be moving forward with a complete website redesign. Civic Plus, our website provider, recommends a redesign every 4 years, and our last one was in 2016, so we are definitely due. Internally, we have been doing what we call a refresh, where we updated the branding, the logo, and some of the page content. But this redesign will help us address the overall website layout, some of the interactive features, and the mobile friendliness of the site. That's stuff that we just can't do internally because it's all embedded in the back-end code. So Civic's going to be assisting us with that. Like I said, we're going to be starting in July. The whole process will take about 6 months, and our goal is to launch the new year. So that is all I have. If you have any other questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Mr. Harper.
Mayor and Council, we've released quite a few projects for construction this past month. The Enclave residential subdivision, which is off here, Hickory Creek Drive, 54 lots. Summerwood Phase 2, which is over near the Victron development and the B&B theaters, it's 54 lots. Creek Bend, which is also on the west side of 35, Phase 2, it's also 54 lots released for construction, as well as the Tater Brown Austin Boulevard extension. So we did earlier this year the Austin Boulevard that went into the industrial properties and had dead-ended with a cul-de-sac. The Compass developer is ready to move forward, and they're going to take off that cul-de-sac and extend it all the way through up to the edge of their property, and then also extend Tater Brown over so that it meets up. So you'll have a full loop from Houston School, Austin Boulevard, Ovilla, and Tater Brown to serve the industrial properties. So look for all that to be happening this month.
Yes. How many lots do you think we have approved and have no houses on them yet?
Approved with no houses.
Yeah.
In what condition?
I mean, just we approved, council is approved.
Zoned?
I was on a head count, I would come up close to 2,000, right?
Well, we've got X amount that have been approved, and then we've got an inventory that have been developed and ready to build homes with permits. So if you give us an estimate on each one of them.
Okay, zoned, yeah, you're looking probably in the neighborhood of 2,000 easily. And then developed with actual permits submitted, that are in the course of construction, probably around 450. So they're like imminently coming online, probably ready this summer, assuming there's no more delays. And Rick, I don't know if you guys have been driving around in the subdivisions, they're framing up houses, and they're just sitting because they can't get brick. So.
We got at least 2,000 houses, potential houses right now.
Yeah, ready to be developed. And they're in various stages, either under construction of the infrastructure or under design of the engineering plans, or simply zoned waiting to receive engineering plans.
Like you said, our population 16,700 now. So another 2,000 houses on that, you're looking probably 2,000 more people.
Yep.
You better start building schools, what my point is. Thanks, Ben, appreciate it.
Thanks, sir. Ms. Platt, are you back on here?
Good evening, again, Mayor and Council. Just a few things to highlight from the report. Of course, our meeting being on the 9th, so quick after the beginning of the month, my report is more hot off the press. But the sales tax for the current month collections in May, we have not yet received. But as you saw in the report for April, those were increased by 18% over the same period in the previous year. Additionally, property taxes, we have collected 99.57% of those. Building permits, as we heard how much growth there is there, we've collected 129.72% of budgeted revenue at this point in the year. So good things definitely in our revenue. Also, I just wanted to bring out the American Rescue Plan grant funds. That reporting was due at the end of April, so we just completed that, and we will be receiving the other half of that allocation, which is a little over $1.6 million. Also, I do have printed budget documents for fiscal year 2022. Of course, you received the adopted budget whenever we went through that, and y'all did vote to adopt it, but this is the whole giant document that we submit for the award. So I'll pass those out here shortly, and that's all I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Ms. Matzabalas.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have just a quick update on recruitment. We are currently accepting applications for 9 positions, and right now we're on track to fill about 4 or 5 of those positions this month. We've also started our annual salary survey overview for all of our city positions to prepare for the upcoming budget process. So we've been busy with interviewing and starting on that process for the budget. I'm available to answer any questions that you may have at this time.
So do you have an idea of when we're going to have our meetings? Our budgetary meetings?
Probably, yes, we will be reaching out to you shortly, and we should be scheduling workshops, I believe. All right.
Okay. That's also going to be working with the resources. Okay. Thank y'all. Ms. Benford.
Mayor and Council, just a few items. Just normal computer replacements we've been doing this month. Ordered a few new servers for police and for the library. Got the technology plan finally completed for Live Oak. We've put that out for some pricing. And biggest thing this month, we did interview several people for the IT specialist position. We've made an offer to one person, and looks like they're going to start in the 1st of June. So they're finishing up with the school district, so he's got to finish all the way at the end of May. Questions?
All right. Thank you, sir. Correct.
Good to see everybody in person, finally. It's been, what, two and a half years. I had a few items to point out. First of all, the library is open. The library is open for business, and we're excited. And the good-looking gentleman up here in the corner, it's not Councilman Ron Wilson, it's the actor John Goodman. You know, that way, as soon as I saw the picture on the cover that I created, I thought, yeah, that looks like Councilman Wilson. Anyway, we are excited to be back open. We are very thankful for the support that the council and Jonathan and Todd give us. This past Saturday, I know it's May, not April, but this past Saturday, during election, in the 4 hours that we were open, we had 64 people visit the library in 4 hours. So the gate count will start increasing. You'll start seeing circulation increasing, and we're very excited about that. I passed out also a brochure, and this is our Summer Reading Club program, and that program starts June the 1st. And one of the evenings that we're very excited about, and Kyle has been gracious enough to support us, is June the 9th. We will have a family evening of enchantment in Watkins Park. The park will turn into a magical area, magician, balloons, photo booth, and then late in the evening, we'll play the movie Encanto. So people are really, I'm getting a lot of excitement about that. Other than that, unless you have any questions, that's all I have. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Kelly.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This month, we have, 3 baseball tournaments that came into town. I don't know if y'all have noticed any weekend traffic increase. We've had, this weekend, we had 30 teams come in and play from out of the area. I think 2 of the teams were from Red Oak, the rest were out from out of the area. So there's a lot of traffic happening at the sports complex, and hearing a lot of good feedback from people that really like the facility. So that's good news for us. Just north of that facility, between City Hall and the new baseball facility and the Watkins Park, is the new playground that's going in. We laid that out 2 weeks ago and started raining, and so they broke ground Friday, and then yesterday they came back and did the survey to make sure that they could pour. Of course, the way it's going, the concrete trucks called off this morning at 7, so they're going to attempt again tomorrow or the next day and the day after that until we can get concrete to go ahead and pour the borders to that, because that's critical for us to do the rest of the project. So we're looking at, once concrete's poured, we're looking at 3 weeks, and we'll be able to open the new playground. So it's fairly quick once we get that done. The other thing is on May the 20th, it's a Friday night, right here in the back lawn. We're hosting another a movie in the park called It's Incredibles 2, a family night for everybody. So we're anticipating darkness around 8:45, dark enough to show the movie on the screen. So if you want to come out or know anybody who wants to come out and have a good time, just, bring a blanket or bring a chair, and we'll provide you with a drink and some snacks and a good movie. So it's a good family time. That's going to be on May the 20th. That's the Friday after next.
And if I could just add one more thing, also, I forgot that I have also added to that evening family game night. So at 6:30, I'll have family game night here, before the movie, and there's some refreshments here, and then I'll have 3 refreshments to be outside. So it'll be the evening on May the 20th, an evening of about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours for the family entertainment.
Good time, and where it's all free.
Councilman Franklin and I, 8 or 10 months ago, we got approval for about 3 basketball courts. And I just wonder what the process on that. I haven't seen anything on it or heard it.
I will get you we never did get the final approval on whether we wanted to go covered or just straight court. I can get those to you guys, and then that way we can get those approved and then get the location approved and get those started.
Okay.
But you did have some locations that you were looking at.
I do. We've got 3 or 4 that we've looked at, and I just would like to get a broader opinion of what the betterment would be for the community with that best location. Your driveway?
And on top of Cal's report, I would also add that EDC did finalize the purchase of property here around the pond, so we now control all of that other than one piece. Staging zone, so we'll be back looking at trail going all the way around it. But a lot of that area, some of it is developable, and EDC will probably utilize that for pad sites. But a lot of that area is kind of in the floodplain or the wooded areas, so we may be looking to try to incorporate some of that into the trail.
Yeah, bird in there to build that thing up a little bit.
You possibly can, but a lot of money.
Yeah, it may not be worth it.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Mr. Williams.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Just going to update you on a couple of our ongoing projects. The Live Oak project that Raytech Construction Services went bankrupt on. Kind of let you know where we are now on that. So the bonding agency has a third party, Vertex, and so they're facilitating a new contractor on board. So, at this point, they released an RFP, and they got back three responses to it. And they are currently vetting those, creating a bid tab, basically, and vetting those contractors. I will say one of them is AUI that's doing the building component. So, and I did speak with Vertex today, just let them know that we like AUI, and that would really kind of help. Just if they're, I was told they were about 5% off, a little bit higher, but that's not. There's other things that play into it, like just mobilization and things like that. So that it may be possible for them to move forward with AUI. It's not a guarantee. The bonding agency ultimately is the one that's going to, pay the difference in this, for the difference of the expense added to the contract. So, but hopefully that, it ends up being AUI. We so anticipate them tendering an agreement on Thursday or Friday of this week. And at that point, then we will put a contract together with that whoever the new contractor is, based on that agreement. And then Todd will be able to sign off on that contract. Except there's no additional financial implications at that point. We do have some added things that are going to need to happen just to facilitate continuation of that road based on like for instance, where the baseball fields are, there's a sidewalk that comes in and it stops now, and there's going to be drainage that comes under there. So when the plans were released and done for the road that goes around the building, the baseball field, they didn't exist at the time. So we just have to incorporate a few things, but that'll be part of something that we bring forward as a change order when the time comes. But specifically, they are. We think that we'll have an agreement Thursday or Friday, and we can move forward at that point. So, and the retaining wall, the wall is complete except for the top caps. Those are supply chain issue. They're on order. So they're currently cleaning up, grading out everything, and then the last piece will be just some top caps going in as soon as they come in. So I guess at that point, welcome any questions.
Good, sir. Thank you. And online, Mr. Phillips, construction inside the building, how's that going?
Yes, Mayor, Council. I've got a few updates for you. We're still moving along at a pretty good clip. The contractors currently has the sprinkler company putting the fire sprinkler system in, the plumbing for that. The electricians are putting in the rough end electrical work, and we actually this morning did an electric and data walk to verify that the locations were correct for the various outlets and data drops in the facility. The framing is mostly complete, 90+% on the interior framing. So they're starting to put sheetrock up on one side of the walls now. So you can actually see, how these rooms are going to shape up and exactly each department's layout. We're still working through some information regarding, as we mentioned, the structural steel being added in to support the building. And then also we met with the HVAC contractor this morning, who's done an assessment of all the units, and they provided their report. and we're looking at some options on how we address some of the, some of the ACs need to be repaired. There's a couple that were, I guess, donor units for other AC units, so maybe their parts are missing. So we're trying to work through and kind of come up with the best plan on how we get the various AC systems addressed throughout the building. So that one's going to be probably a little bit more involved as we work through it. But we did get some reports back and working with the GC and the HVAC contractor. If you've driven by, you've probably noticed they have most of the exterior demolition done. They have some concrete left to tear out, but the majority of the front demolition on the exterior has been complete. And then they did some water testing today on some window seals on the south side of the building that were, anytime we got any decent rain, we were getting large puddles in the building. So they wanted to verify where exactly that water was coming from and what the remedy was going to be prior to obviously doing any additional interior work in those areas. So got a lot more going on, but I'll kind of stop there if you have any questions or want any specific details.
So how are they going with the roof?
So they're working on framing out the parapet wall right now. And then they need to build the parapet wall. And once they do that, then they can start to release the roofer to come in and actually tie in the parapet wall and start putting in the roof.
Council, any questions?
What's the target completion date?
It was a year from when we started, so it would be March of 23.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, gentlemen? Okay. So we will go into executive session, closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, 551.087, 551.072. Are we expected to have any? So probably not going to have any action, but you're welcome to play it around. And are we inviting anybody?
We need Lee and Bob.
Okay.
Wouldn't want to have Jonathan in there, but we don't have it set up for Zoom in there, so. Jonathan, is there anything you need to discuss in executive session?
No, sir, I don't believe so.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Okay. Well, we'll probably just handle it all live then, if that's okay with you. Figure out what's going on there.
All right. So the time is 9:54. We will go into executive session. All right. The time is, 10:44, and we have no actions to be taken coming out of executive session. At 10:45, I'd entertain a motion.
Let's go home.
So moved. First by Councilman Wilson, second by Councilman Drake. Those in favor? Drake, aye.
Break aye.
Wilson, aye.
But it was second.
Okay, well, so Goodwin did the second.
Okay.
Let's
get that right now.
Hey, Michael, so, once you're back in town, so you'll come to that June